Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday Mastermind. Kyle here, and I am coming to you guys live from Facebook and from YouTube. And I think I've got the stream figured out at this point. I've got my new studio behind me, I've got my solid internet connection, and it looks like we're back to business. So I'm excited. It looks like everything is going good. So if it is, please, put a comment. It looks like I'm watching comments here on Facebook and on YouTube, and so far so good. It looks like I see a few people joined YouTube. We got about 3 of you guys on YouTube and 14 people on Facebook. Team Disruptor. So welcome and good morning. Today we're going to be talking all about teams at eXp Realty. I think this is a great topic to kind of talk about. I think we've done it in the past and talked, a little bit about it, but it's been a while, and I've had a lot of people bringing up questions and saying like, "Oh man, I didn't know that," and so I just thought it'd be maybe good to reshare this with people. And it actually even came from some notes that I took back at eXpCon in Vegas when Glenn Sanford was talking. And so that's going to be, it looks like everybody's is already into the comments on Facebook. I love it, guys. Good to see y'all. And yeah, it came from this little discussion that Glenn Sanford did in Vegas, and it was pretty cool. I would say, he talked a lot about kind of his background and his history before eXp Realty, and he came up in the Keller Williams model. And so, for any of you, if you've read the book, Millionaire Real Estate Agent, MREA, the Red Book by Gary Keller, put it in the chat here, put it in the comments that you've read it. I would imagine most of you have, and if you haven't, it's definitely a good read. I highly recommend you go out, buy the book, borrow it from somebody, and read through it, because there's a lot of good concepts in there. I agree with a lot of what's said. But in the book, if you haven't read it, it talks about building a 7th level business. And basically a 7th level business is one where, essentially you've built your real estate business for so long, you've got so much kind of goodwill coming to you that you've got referrals, and just your systems are in place, your team is in place, and essentially your business can kind of carry on without you, or without very much of your input. And that's what they call a 7th level business. And I think that is, of course, something that we would all strive to be at, right? Where we can kind of kick back and still be earning the income from our real estate business. But the sad truth is that very few of us real estate agents, team leaders, work an entire career, 20, 30, 40 years, and ever have the ability to do that. And one of the things Glenn brought up was that exact fact that, he was there at Keller Williams, and he had seen, agents and team leaders working their butts off, years and years and years. And he basically, the whole thought of why he started eXp was because he wanted to give the average agent, or more agents that are in this profession, the ability to build what we would call a 7th level business much easier. And that's really how eXp was kind of thought about and how it was started. And sure enough, now as we look at it and what eXp is doing for many, many agents across the country, hundreds, if not thousands of agents that are now earning passive residual income monthly, I would say that Glenn has definitely taken leaps and bounds towards that goal. And so, I think that that's why, as far as this conversation, I think it's so important, because when you're talking to other team leaders, or when you're talking to other agents that want to grow a team, or maybe they're already doing it, or they have a desire to do that in the future, I think it's important not only to know the ins and outs about a team, how they work at eXp, but I also think it's important to know and to explain kind of the differences of what a team can be at eXp, that you don't have to go the traditional route, right? Like the MREA route, which maybe most Keller Williams agents are familiar with. There's so many different ways to structure teams at eXp. And I'm not even just talking about, the what are the different names of them? I got them listed out here. Let me find it here so I don't misquote it. You've got self-organized, standard, and mega icon. It's not even just that. Like, yes, those are different teams for sure, but even just the concepts and what you can do because of the structure and the way that we earn compensation at eXp, it opens up all sorts of doors. And so I was just talking to agents the other day and, kind of talking about this exact fact is that, like, hey, there is not just one way to build a team at eXp. I mean, there's probably hundreds of ways that you could really, financially structure your team at eXp. And so it's pretty exciting when you think about that. And then also, of course, there's all sorts of pros and cons with even going down the team route. And like what if you were somewhere other than EXP, you have a whole lot more risks involved and associated with building that team out than you may here at EXP. So basically what I want to do on the call today is I want to start off but just explaining what the different types of teams are here at EXP, and that way we all have a baseline to start from. But then I want to kind of go over how I explain teams and how I kind of get the juices flowing in people's minds so they can kind of start to see that teams are something so different here at eXp that it probably is in their best interest, if they have a goal of creating a team or if they're already a team leader, to do that here at eXp. So that being said, I'm going to jump right in. So there's a slide. If none of you guys have seen this, let me share this screen with you here. Kind of scoot that up. This is where it explains all of the different types of teams at eXp. So this is where I took that self-organized, standard, and mega icon team. And there are different requirements and whatnot for these different programs, but I'm just going to run through kind of the details here real quick. So first off, a self-organized team, realistically, I mean, this is almost just kind of like a referral partnership, kind of thing, where that's really all that it is. You are, a team leader. There's no requirements of a minimum, deals that you have to have done to be a team leader for a self-organized team. So maybe you're a new agent and you just want to say like, hey, you're a team leader or you have a team. Maybe that's, your prerogative if that's what you want to do. And like I said, I don't even have any agents on my team. It's me, a transaction manager, and then occasionally I use a showing assistant. So, I mean, I am a self-organized team, but really, you could be a self-organized team and just say you have a buddy that, because maybe you still have another job that maybe, you split deals with him, or he helps you during the week because you're working, and, you help him during the weekend because, he wants to take off with his family. Like, and that's kind of your deal. Well, the way a self-organized team works is essentially all that you have to do is just provide eXp a team roster, meaning anyone that you may be sharing deals with consistently. If it was like a one-off referral, like it's somebody in New Orleans or something and you're in, California, that's not a team. That's not even a self-organized team. That's just, a one-off referral. But if this is something that like ongoing, you may, be doing this over months or years and kind of doing a few deals with one another or with multiple people, then it is nice to be a self-organized team and have that written out. Also, for you to be able to use any kind of a team name on any of your marketing, whether it's, like for me, the handy team, or whatever it might be for you, the team or group in your name, then you do need to have it recognized by TREC. Or, well, at least here in Texas, we do. I would imagine in most states, you probably have to file it with your real estate commission. And so that's a pretty easy form that we fill out here in Texas to our broker, and then our broker actually files it with the state for us. It doesn't take very long at all, but just make sure if you are marketing under a team or a group or anything like that, that it is approved by your broker and by by your real estate commission if that's what's required. But as far as a self-organized team, you don't reduce the cap for any team members, so they're all on a $16,000 cap still. There is no minimum referral percentage required to the team leader, so it's not like, hey, it's got to be a minimum of 25% or anything like that. I mean, you could take a 10% from a deal if you sent it out to one of your self-organized team members. You do not need a team agreement in writing by eXp with the eXp approval on it. So, again, it's just really just, kind of word of mouth. Like, this is just the most basic form of a team. It's really almost just like a recurring referral partnership agreement that you may have with agents, and you're just letting eXp know that. That's really all that it is. Now, the standard team, this is where it really gets into what most people think of as a team. Um, and what the standard team is it reduces the caps for each of your team members into half. So, like instead of $16,000 cap, they're going to have an $8,000 cap that they pay. There is a minimum referral percentage required to the team leader, and this is a 75-25 split, meaning that as the team leader, the least amount you can take from a deal is 25% on all deals. If they're in your team, you have to take a minimum of 25% on all deals. You can't say, oh, well, this was your, brother-in-law or your, whatever, I'll only take 10%. Like, it's a minimum of 25% on all deals. And that's again because they're getting a half cap. Okay. They're not having to pay the full $16,000 cap. They don't want, agents coming in, bringing in a bunch of agents and giving them half caps, and then the team leader take 5% or 10% or something like that. And then, this team agent is just getting, a half cap basically for nothing, for free. And so that's what they're trying to avoid there. So there does have to be that minimum referral percentage of 25%. There does need to be a team agreement in writing with eXp approval. And this is, they've got blanket ones that you can get from eXp, and I do recommend you reach out. If I can find it, I'll link it in the notes below once we're done with this. But I remember, when I had my team about 1.5 years ago, they had a pretty thorough document that you could just go in and kind of fill out the different ins and outs, and you could even customize it a little bit, but it at least gave you a good starting point for creating your team kind of agreement. Because there's a lot of teams out there that actually create teams and don't even have anything in writing. They don't have agreements. Everything's just kind of like, by word of mouth, and that's it. And so, but with eXp, if you are going to be a standard team, you do have to have a team agreement in writing with eXp approval on file. Lastly, the last two things, the team roster is required, and the team roster is required to be provided to eXp. So you got to let them know who all is on your team. And then to even have a standard team, you need to have closed a minimum of $6 million in business in the previous year, or 30 closed transactions. And keep in mind, that's not a calendar year. So that's, the previous 12 months. So if you joined in June, then it would be, May to May or June to June or whatever it might be. But you have to have done $6 million or 30 closed transactions. Now, and then you also have to keep that ongoing when you're with eXp. So like, you can't become a team leader and then all of a sudden, like, not have any production. And so keep in mind that, as a minimum of 25% of each of the deals that should be coming to you, that all counts towards it, right? So let's just say an agent closes a $500,000 home and you get 50% of that. Well, then 250,000 goes towards that 6 million. Plus whatever deals you are still doing. So that's kind of how that works. And then as far as the closed transactions, if you ended up going that way, they do count deals as of like quarter and half transactions. So, if you ended up doing a deal for an agent and you only got 25% of it, you got a quarter of a deal there. So they will count it like that. Now, lastly, and this is for big team leaders, make sure you know this one. It probably doesn't come up that often, but if it does, you want to know that it exists. It's the mega icon team, and it basically reduces all of that mega team leaders agents to quarter caps, meaning that they only pay $4,000 caps. There is a minimum of a $40 million closed transactions for the team, right? So the team has to have closed 40 million or 175 closed transactions, and it has to have 10 capping team members in the previous 12 months. That is to be a mega icon team. The way I understand it, and again, I can be corrected if I'm wrong, go ahead and put it in the comments. But is the way that it works is the mega icon team leader will definitely have a $16,000 cap, no ifs, ands, or buts. But then all of their agents are going to have $4,000 caps. The thing is if the team leader or if the team doesn't produce enough, like say you have a couple agents that don't cap, and then by the end of the year, basically that team is responsible for $56,000 in caps. So that's kind of how that works there. So, as a total. So like if they're short, then they have to come up with it, is how I understand it. It doesn't say that on here. This doesn't actually have all of the details, but that is one thing that I've heard. So if I'm wrong, correct me. But otherwise, just keep that in mind as if it is a mega icon team, they are responsible for their 16 plus 40,000, which is 4,000 for each of the 10. So they want to make sure that it is a team that's producing and whatnot. So maybe it's somebody that's got 20 or 30 agents, right? I don't know in that case. I think they're still just required the 56, but so in total, those 20 agents would have to come up with at least another $40,000 that gets paid into the cap between the 20 of them. But if it's 10, then basically all of them have to be capping agents. So that's kind of how that works there. And so just keep in mind, those are kind of the teams. Now, what I really wanted to kind of get into, and I just wanted to get this out there kind of as the baseline, is not even so much these, right? Like, these are the teams that eXp talks about, but I think there's so many other ways that we can structure teams at eXp that have been creative, like the ways that, people are thinking about teams now are so different than just the traditional way, right? Because we've got what's called revenue share. It's a beautiful thing. It's really, truly changing this entire business and the business model here. And the reason why I think that the revenue share is changing so much is, for instance, I know agents that are starting teams now with agents on 90-10 splits. And in a traditional way, nobody would ever do that. Like if you were working at another brokerage and revenue share didn't exist, you would never offer your agent a 90-10 split to be on a team. But because at eXp, there's different ways that you can think about it. Not only are they getting the 90-10, which, probably doesn't even cover their costs, but you're getting the revenue share, which, is probably, maybe it's another 3.5 or 4%, depending on what level they are on your organization. But what's even more important is that they're there indefinitely, as long as they're with eXp. And so I really know that there's agents that will go out there and hire agents, at a 90-10 or some low split, maybe 85-15 or 80-20, something like that, something that they would never do on a traditional team. They'll provide them leads, they'll provide coaching or whatever it is that team leader offers. But the actual goal of that team leader is to get that agent to be off the team within 6 months, or to get them off the team, by a year or whatever it might be. And then still just earn the revenue share from them, right? Like, and now you've got that person to join your team. They're in your revenue share organization indefinitely. You provided them value for the time that they were in your team. They got trained up and taught up. And traditionally, if you did that in a different model, you don't want them to leave, right? Like, you want them to stay on your team. You want them to need you for as long as possible, because that's how you make your money as a team leader. And so, I think that opens up a whole other level of possibilities because of the revenue share. And it's something that most people don't even think about when you're thinking about teams. And so it's a really unique concept there. And then again, that agent is worth more than just that 3.5% you're making, or that 4%. Because over the lifetime that person is with eXp, let's just go say they attract a couple agents, and they attract a couple agents. I mean, there's agents that if you attract one agent, that agent could be worth $1 million to you, depending on how well they go out and start attracting agents in the next 5 to 10 years. So you just never know. So really, I know that there's team leaders that are losing money on the front end, so to speak. Like, maybe they don't really make money on their team, right? Like the traditional sense of the team, but they know that they're going to make it up long run because of the model at eXp and because of the revenue share. And I think it's a great thing to note. It's a great thing that you can talk to team leaders about and just share with them to say, hey, look, there's all sorts of ways you can slice and dice this that are going to be to your advantage. It's not just the way that you may think about it, right? So I think that's important. The other thing that you can, explain to people is that the overhead and the risk associated with having a team outside of eXp is substantial. I mean, compared to what your costs are at eXp, it's night and day, really. I'll just say, I know at eXp, like, I'll give you one example. To have your CRM system, right? Like, if you were anywhere else and you wanted to get a realistic, a good CRM system for a team, you're probably spending anywhere from $750 to $1,500 a month for a good team CRM where you can track your agents, you can kind of hold them accountable, and you can see what they're doing. And that's usually for like 3 to 5 agents, right? So if they're a team and they want to have 10 agents, 15, 20, 30 agents, something crazy like that, eXp even gets sweeter because for many of you, you may not know this, but KV Core offers a team platform. We all know that KV Core is included as an individual license for all of us, and it only runs, as part of our $85 a month that we pay in. We don't pay anything extra for it. But as a team leader, let's say you do have other agents, you can upgrade your license, the individual license you get with eXp, to a team license, and it's only $399 per month. So now you basically get the entire KV Core platform, but you get the additional benefit of being able to track your agents, see what they're doing, swap leads in between accounts very, very easily, and get all the other benefits that we get as individual users of KV Core for $399 a month. So you're already saving, because if you were going to go get the KV Core team platform on your own outside of eXp, it would cost you $750 per month. Plus, I don't know exactly. I think the sign up fee is between $500 to $1,000 for a one-time kind of setup fee, and it usually ranges just because they have different promotions going on. So you'd be paying $750 a month plus that $500 to $1,000 startup. Whereas with eXp, you just pay $399, no startup fee. So it's a pretty amazing deal. And then the best thing about the eXp one is that it's unlimited users. With KV Core, when you sign up for the team platform outside of eXp, after you go past 5 agents on your team, you're paying $80 per month for each additional user. That's crazy. So I mean, just think of that. If you had 10 agents, you're paying $750 plus another $400 for 5 more users past that 5. So you're at $1,150. It starts to add up really, really quickly. And again, I mean, that's, especially if the team has like an inside sales agent, typically you want them to have an account. You want this person to have an account. You want that person to have an account. I remember when I had my team, I think the most agents we ever had was like 8 agents, but we had, 12 accounts. And it was because I had a team manager, and I had an inside sales agent. I had my assistant that wanted to get in there. And so accounts start to rack up pretty quickly. And so that bill can start to get pretty expensive. So, but at eXp, again, all the team leader would pay is basically $399 a month. That's it, right? That's going to include all of the licenses that they need to run their team. So that's one expense that's saved. The other expenses are, of course, all the low overhead as far as the training. Like I remember when I had my team and when I had my brokerage, I had to sign up for a lot of other training platforms because I didn't have all the time in the day, to train my agents and to train my team members. And so I would sign up for training all the time, right? Like, oh, this person offers a training. Pat Hyben's doing training. I'll pay $750 for that training. I'll pay, $400 for this training, and then I'll use that to train my team. And at eXp, that's something you don't have to do anymore. I mean, you can essentially just set up a checklist of all the different trainings that your team agents need to go to based on the trainings you find most valuable at eXp, and then make your agents go to that. And then whatever gaps are there, you might fill those gaps in yourself. But truly, there's so much training that's going on at eXp that you don't need to sign up for additional training for those agents, as long as you're organized and you can share with your team where they need to be spending their time and attention. So, as far as your overhead, your risk, again, that's the other thing, is as a team leader and all that kind of stuff, your risk goes down a lot because, again, these agents are on your team, but they're going to be writing all these deals in their names. And then again, because of the relationship that you have with eXp, where you're getting either 25% or 50% of the deal or whatever, the deal still gets written in that agent's name, but you are getting that commission. At other brokerages and at other places, I remember, my previous brokerage, all the deals were written in my name. And so essentially, if something blew up on that file, I was always held liable for it, which, there were some deals that I didn't even know the client, and, and I was getting in trouble, or, I had to, respond to something. And so it's kind of crazy. I think at eXp that's been solved a little bit easier, right? And maybe other brokerages do that too, so it's not as big of a thing, but it's just something to keep in mind about. So there's just a lot less risk, a lot less overhead that you have to kind of think about at eXp. And so those are just, a few of the different reasons why I think that, having teams at eXp makes so much sense. The other cool thing too that, I guess it deserves to be mentioned is as far as like branding and marketing and all that kind of stuff, eXp is way better than the majority of the brokerages out there as far as what they require from a branding standpoint. So as long as you comply to your state requirements, EXP is pretty much allowing you to do, whatever it is you want to do to market and brand yourself or to brand your team, as long as you're complying. And so it's very, very open to doing that. So you're not like branding the brokerage that you're with. And I think that's a very important differentiation when it comes to being a team, because I think, teams, again, most of the teams that I know don't, eventually, if they stick with it long enough, they can make some money. But especially in the first few years, it's very tough to make money as a team leader. You kind of build that up over time, and you build that up because of the brand and the marketing that you build. That's really the only thing. And so all you have is your brand. And I mean, even if you're an individual agent watching this and you just want to get a little bit of value out of this, we've always said that you got to start building your brand yourself, branding you from day one. That's so important. Whether you're a team, whether you're an individual agent, doesn't matter. You need to brand you. That's why, hey, put them on your sign, put your headshot on your signs, put your headshot on your business card. Maybe you're not comfortable with it, but I promise you it will go leaps and bounds for your business, because especially with real estate, it's a relationship business. And this is getting more and more, cut away from us as we go through the years. There's all these iBuyers and people. I think there was just an article in Inman the other day about how, these iBuyers and these internet companies that are buying homes are taking a bigger and bigger percentage of the market share. But the ones that aren't are when you keep a brand for yourself and people respect the relationship and they desire to have somebody knowledgeable. And when you can brand yourself as that, it's going to take a lot longer, or it's going to be a lot harder for an internet company or an iBuyer or something like that to come in and take the business away from you. So just be aware of that. If you're just a no-name thing, just a commodity as far as real estate agents are concerned, then it's really hard for you to build any kind of traction, especially long-term. But when you start building that brand, and I remember when I first started, in this business, building that brand, I was like, man, I'm not going to be Apple. Like, why do I need to build a brand, right? Like, I'm not Coca-Cola. But the sooner that I realized, like, hey, I don't need to be those guys, but I'm going to take my little piece from what I can by building my brand, as much as I can now, that's when the recurring business started to come, all the time. And so anyways, that's kind of a little tangent I went on there as far as, what I think the branding importance is of eXp, but it's something that you definitely should make sure that people understand, especially team leaders, when they come over to eXp. Have some good examples of, team stuff. Like I just use mine. Obviously, I have my business cards. I show them. Go to my Facebook page. I show them what that looks like. They're like, oh, wow, it doesn't look like anything eXp necessarily, right? Like I don't have big orange and blue, signs up on my Facebook page. It's my logo, my colors on my business card, on my Facebook page. All the stuff is cohesive across all of my marketing, right? I'm using my headshot everywhere. And so I'm branding myself. And I think that a lot of people, they see that and they're like, oh my gosh, because when you work for Remax or Keller Williams, I mean, the stuff all starts to look the same, right? It's all the same kind of Keller Williams, all the same kind of Remax. Coldwell Banker even has kind of their thing. And so when you come to eXp, it's a lot different feel. And I don't think people are expecting that. So I think it's something worth noting, especially when you're talking to teams. So anyways, that's kind of what I got here as far as my notes go on teams. We're about a half hour in. I'm going to jump over to the comments. I want to see what you guys think, what questions you guys have here. Let's see. All right. What questions do you guys have? Carlos, you're welcome, man. Glad to see you on here. Hey, what's going on, Mark? Welcome. All right. Tammy, good to see you. Hope you're having a good one. Hope the meeting yesterday went well. We got some exciting stuff going on here in San Antonio, that's for sure, guys. All right. Angela, good morning to you. Tom Tobin, what's up, bud? Good to see you. Hilda, thanks for sharing. Rob, good to see you. All right, guys. Well, it looks like we don't have any really questions in the chat. if you got any team questions, EXP team questions, now is the time to ask them, guys. Here, I'm going to go switch over to YouTube here and see if I've missed anything. All right. Oh, and just as a quick update, guys, I know that, I mean, it's been crazy for me the last 2 weeks. You know, we were in Vegas and then now we've been moving into a new home. Finally, we got settled in. But the one thing I don't want you to think that I forgot about is, you know, I am in the middle of making that course. So there's going to be a full agent attraction course that I'm coming out with. And I will be opening that up here pretty soon. And it's pretty exciting. It was based off of just the videos that we had created, I think over about 2 months time. Talks anything from, you know, creating your story with EXP, overcoming objections, you know, how to prospect, you know, via social media, how to prospect via three-way phone calls, how to host a lunch and learn. So all of that is going to be coming out here pretty soon in a really nice kind of concise course. So that was kind of the hardest part, is I didn't want to just put, you know, 45-minute long videos into the course. And so I've kind of broken them up into shorter 10, 15-minute segments that are a little bit more bite size for everybody. And so I think everyone's going to like that once that comes out. All right, cool. Here we go. When you form a team, can you reconfigure people already in EXP? Absolutely, Amy. Great question. So yes, you definitely can. They do not need to be in your revenue share organization to have them be on your team. They can be somebody else's revenue share organization and be on your team. However, keep in mind that if they join your team, that does not mean that they will now be in your revenue share organization. They stay where they're at. So just, you know, keep that in mind. Let's see. Great info on teams and breaking it down into manageable bites. Love it, Tom. Great video, Hector. Does it have to be new? No, it doesn't have to be newly attracted agents. So yeah, I mean, as far as like agents on your team, you know, if you want, say you decide you want to start a team and then you know of an agent in your market, or maybe in another market, maybe you want to do an expansion team, then I think, you know, absolutely you can, you know, have that person join regardless if they're new to EXP or not, whether they're in your revenue share organization or not. It does not matter. They can join your team as long as you sign them up, put them on your roster. And again, you meet the requirements to be on one of those standard teams, mega icon teams, or if you're just doing a self-organized team, then absolutely. All right, cool. Let's see. Kyle, 2 agents that want to come in as a team, they're under a 50-50 split with their broker, and they want to come in together. What or where is the best first step to help them understand teams under EXP? Of course, I'll share this video too. There you go. All right, so they're on it. So let me make sure I understand it fully. So they're under a 50-50 split with their broker, and they want to come in together. So right now, I assume they're 2 agents on a team. I don't know, Tom, are they 2 agents on a team right now, or are they just 2 individual agents at their brokerage, both on 50-50 splits and wanting to start a team at EXP? Is that the right, let me make sure here. Let me make sure, wait for your comment here to tell me if that's what it is. If they are in fact just 2 individual agents on 50-50s and they want to come to EXP, well then, you know, they can come into EXP. If one of them meets the requirement as far as, you know, having $6 million or 30 million or 30 closed transactions, then that person can be the team leader, right? And you know, do like a be the actual team leader and get, you know, a 50-50 from the other agent. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, or if you're saying they want to truly be partners at EXP and just split everything amongst themselves 50-50, go out and, you know, recruit agents or attract, you know, agents to their team and get, you know, 50-50 from that, then absolutely I would say they need to be a self-organized team in that case. That way what they could do is there is not really one team leader in the sense there. They would both, you know, just be agents with both $16,000 caps. They can both be icon. But then, you know, when one person does a deal, say it's a $6,000 commission, the other one does a $7,000 commission over here, they can just do 50-50 with each other as self-organized teams and split their money that way. That way, again, when tax time comes, you know, it's all squared away. It's, you know, there's nothing weird about it or, you know, anything that has to go on, you know, behind the scenes. that would probably, if that's what you're saying, they want to be partners at eXp, that would be the best route, is to have them be a self-organized team. If they are like, if one of them is the team leader at the other brokerage and he has the agent as a 50-50, I would say just, that team leader comes over here as a standard team, puts that agent that's on a 50-50 as, a 50-50 under a standard team. So at least they get the $8,000 lower cap in that sense, and do it that way. All right. Oh, they aren't a team now, but want to be. They work together and share all revenue. Okay. So yeah, so that would be the first scenario where they're self-organized team. So, yep. So they share all the revenue regardless of who sells. So they have a pseudo team together. Yeah, just make them be self-organized team, Tom. And then if they do decide to go out and get agents, again, they can just put those agents under their self-organized team and create whatever split they want with them. And so like, say they put those agents on a 50-50 split, that they end up going out and getting, then, 25% could go to one of the partners, 25% go to the other partner, and 50% could go to the actual agent that sold the deal. Under a self-organized team, they could do that. The only thing they wouldn't get in that case is the half cap for the team members. But again, depending on how they speak about that, like, hey, it's almost to your benefit because, you're going to be able to get, icon, if you do enough deals, yada, yada, yada. It's probably a win-win for everybody that way. So, all right, cool. Let's see here. We got more comments coming in. Adam Taft, outside of just the branding, when they are setting up a team, would you recommend any other items to help setting up the team for success? Things like having a list of recommended items for anyone new to the business or eXp in general to set them up for success. Things like recommended apps, cam scan. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Adam, great question. So as far as you're almost talking like an onboarding checklist is kind of what I would recommend that you create for people that join your team. I've got an agent that just joined my team probably 3 or 4 months ago, my revenue share team, not my team, but and his name's Greg Foster, and he actually is already in Google Drive, been creating, the things that he feels the agents that sign up with him need to know about right away. And he's already attracted so many agents just in the 3 months that he's been here. But yeah, I would absolutely recommend you decide what's important for people to know about when they join your team and when they join eXp. I don't have anything, I guess, that you would say that's like a checklist yet. I do have, that's why I'm building out that course for agent attraction. I do want to start, building out a course for agent sales. So those would be like my 2 courses. Of course, then I can just give those to people whenever they come on. As of right now, all I usually do to the agents that join my organization is I do just a short, like 30-minute to 60-minute phone call with them, or a Zoom call, where I can, share my screen. And I say, hey, you need to subscribe to my channel, watch, back my YouTube videos, because you'll start to really learn, both on the sales side and the agent attraction side, what's important. Specifically, I've got a video that says these are the first 10 things you need to do when you join eXp. That's the one that gets the most views. I share that with everybody, and then they start from there. And then I just share with them, hey, make sure that you're signed up in workplace, and you're monitoring the workplace, so you can see like new updates and things that are coming out, and you'll hear other people's questions and see what other people are asking about. That's really what I do. And then I just check on them, every month, every couple months, I'm reaching out, I'm texting people, I'm sharing stuff with them saying like, hey, did you hear about this? How's things going? Do you have any questions? That's kind of just been my MO, and it works for me. Now, if you're actually creating a team, you got to be more structured than that, I would say. A revenue share organization, it's still, I want to be more structured, but you kind of get away with it a little bit easier if you're not. But if you're a team, I think the expectations are pretty high that you're supporting that agent. I mean, you really are taking on a whole lot more responsibility. And so, yes, having something that's very structured, I think would be helpful. I just don't have one. So good stuff there, Adam. Let's see. No worries. Let's see. Roger that. Self-organized sounds like the route. Yeah, Tammy Price. Greg Foster's a beast with creating value and providing support. Guys, I mean, that's really all that it is. I mean, the more stuff that you can build as a system and you can provide it, strategically to all the people that join your organization, it's just going to be that much better for you, because now in an organized fashion, you can get all your information out to multiple people. Like, maybe in the beginning when you only have one or two people joining your whole entire revenue share organization, it's, you can do more of that. But like at this point, I've got about 15 to 20 agents joining my organization every month. I can already see the writing on the wall that if I'm not organized, it's going to hurt me because I won't be able to, do what I'm doing today once that gets bigger, right? Like I can't continue to do Zoom calls, once I hit 50 agents a month or 100 agents a month. It's just not going to be possible. And so, yes, having systems in place, having, things that you've thought about early on, it's going to help you long term for sure. All right, here we go. So what would the commission percentage be for the team leader with the mandatory 20%, 25% to the team leader, like 56 to 60%? Amy, good question. Man, this is almost like it's like a math quiz for me today, but I love it. So I guess I assume, I don't really understand your full question if you're talking about if you're adding back in the revenue share. So let's say, for instance, they're on a 50-50. Or let's see here. No, it says the team mentor on the mandatory 25% to the team leader. Give me a little bit more details, Amy. What are you saying? Like, why would it be any different than 25%? You're saying it's like 56 to 60%. So for instance, like let's say you have them on a 25% split and they're in your revenue share organization. So you're getting, 3.5% of the gross commission income. In that case, you would just add that 3.5% to the 25%. So it's really like getting, 28.5%. If that's what you're saying, I don't know how you get to 56 to 60%. I'm not exactly sure there. Sorry, Amy. All right, what else do we got? I'll wait till I'm sure she's probably going to type out something that'll explain it a little bit more. But what else do we got? Other questions, guys, about teams? Teams. Expansion teams. That's something that should be spoken about too. I mean, I think that right now the buzz is all about expansion teams. That's what Keller Williams is pitching a lot to their agents. Like, hey, you need to, branch out, build expansion teams. And seriously, it cannot be any easier to build an expansion team here in at eXp. Because again, the same thing, when you have agents that are in other markets, let's just say you attract somebody in Alabama and you are in California. Well, now that person, again, you don't even have to have your license out there and you can earn, 25% or 50% or whatever it is from each of their deals that goes towards your $16,000 cap. They can be on a half cap, an $8,000 cap. And it goes towards your icon, all that kind of stuff. And maybe you just put in place some of the lead generation systems that you have going on in your market, and you just duplicate it for their market, right? And now you've got a expansion team. You didn't have to join another market center. You don't have multiple caps. It's just, so much easier and simpler, easier to explain even with eXp. And so, I mean, really, you could have expansion markets all over the country pretty quickly and easily, just as soon as you can find a leader in that market to start that expansion team for you. All right, so Amy said here, $100 commission, split 80-20, then take off another 25%. Yeah, so, okay, so the way that it works, and just to explain how the team splits work, is the 80-20 comes after whatever your split with that agent is. So for instance, let me give you an example. Let's say it's a $10,000 commission, right? You have them on a 75-25. And so in that case, you are going to get $2,500. The agent is going to get $7,500. Now eXp is going to take the 80-20% of that, right? So then from 80-20 of, let's say, the $7,500, 20% of that is $1,500, right? So the agent is going to get $6,000 and eXp is going to get $1,500. That goes towards that agent's $8,000 cap. And so that means in that case that they are getting 60% of their original deal. So if they were on an 80-20, if they were on a 75-25 with you, and then, of course, splitting that out 80-20 to eXp. So it's truly like 60%. Now, once they cap and they don't have to pay the 20% into eXp, again, like in that scenario, they would have put $1,500 towards that $8,000 cap. Once they cap, then they're truly on a 75-25 or whatever that split is with you as their team leader. So that's kind of how that works there. And then, yeah, so yeah, the team member is splitting with eXp and then the team leader. So yeah, no, the way that it works is they split with the team leader, then they split with eXp, just like you. So like, for instance, in that scenario, out of the $2,500 that you say are the team leader would be keeping, you'll then split that $2,500 80/20 with eXp, right? So now you're giving $500 to eXp, you're keeping 2,000 of it. 500 goes towards your $16,000 cap, along with any deals that you're doing that you're splitting with eXp 80/20. And the reason why that it's done like that is you may have a situation where maybe the team leader's capped, but the agent is not capped yet. And so, you know, the team split goes first, right? So say it's 75/25, whatever it is. If it's 75/25, that goes first. If it's 50/50, that goes first. So on that $10,000 deals, if it was 50/50, 5,000 gets split to the agent, 5,000 goes towards the team leader, and then the 80/20 comes out and splits with eXp based on who's capped, who's not capped, whatever it looks like at that point. So I hope that makes sense. All right, perfect. We got to the answer there. Good, I'm glad. Awesome. Well, guys, I hope this is helpful. It's the 9:45, so we'll go ahead and shut it down. But if you got any questions, don't hesitate to put it into the comments. I always check these comments afterwards, and I try and respond to any of the comments. People post questions or anything like that, I'll still get to them. If I missed anything, feel free to share that. If I said anything wrong, feel free to share that. Remember that tonight is the Tuesday Executive Overview. It's at 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. Just go to tuesdayexecutiveoverview.com to register. And again, it's a live webinar. Me and Curtis Dixon host it, and we do about a 30-minute demo. We haven't done the demo in a while, so I think maybe if nothing else, this is a good kind of plug for why you need to be on it tonight. And bring somebody, invite agents to this executive overview tonight, because we'll be doing about a 30-minute demo where I actually go through the back end office of eXp. You know, I show eXp World, I show KV Core, I show Workplace by Facebook. I even kind of show the dashboard. Of course, you know, we can't go into like revenue share and stock and to go into the numbers there, but you know, we do kind of show how the dashboard works generically. So that is something where they can see how it all physically works. And then also it's about a 30-minute explaining the business model, you know, explaining how it works. And so that's kind of how the presentation goes. I'm excited to be back tonight the normal way, my new studio setup. It's going to be all good. Last week we had a little issue because we had thunderstorms out here where I'm at, and so my power shut off, luckily at the very end, so it wasn't a big deal. But this week, again, bring a guest, bring yourself, and we'll see you at 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. Go to tuesdayexecutiveoverview.com to register. So we'll see you then, guys. Have a good one.